focus. Ideate, innovate, enable. ICICI Bank and CNBC TV 18 present the India Business Summit.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and many thanks for joining us today in the wonderful city of Kolkata. I'm Paramita Chatterjee, and I'm going to be your host this evening. Now, just to take you through the India Business Summit, this initiative is part of a series of high-powered city summits which are being hosted across 7 major cities in the country. At this point in time, I would like to request Lata Venkatesh, who is Executive Editor at CNBC TV 18, to kindly join us on stage and walk us through the central theme this evening.
This is an idea which ICICI team and the CNBC TV 18 team thought up to bring together our joint forces, our appeal, if you please, our humble appeal, to go to several cities and discuss some cutting-edge intellectual ideas of our time and draw the best, the creme de la creme of the companies in that city and debate upon some cutting-edge issues. The India Business Summit Leaders Speak today is going to discuss how technology has changed how corporate India deals with customers. Debating it today are a set of people who have diverse interests. We have with us Mr. Gaurav Swarup of Paharpur, who is more a B2B person, but very fundamental in terms of touching, perhaps, cuts across all industries. We have a person like Sanjeev Goenka who has so many verticals, all of them touching the customer in so many different ways. And then we have Aditya Agarwal of Emami, who again is, for the face of it, a whole host of beauty products, but the Emami Group has so many industries, so many verticals with it. And of course, we have Mr. Harsh Neotia, who has seen, literally we should say, who knows the building block of business, going by the nature of business he handles. But above them all is ICICI. Thank you very much for joining us today in what's a very special day for us. And I hope you have as enlightening an evening as we had in the previous 2 occasions. Thank you very much.
Let me now invite on stage Vijay Chandok, who is Executive Director, ICICI Bank, to address the leaders and distinguished invitees in the audience today.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today, a lot of work is happening to see how we can harness the power of technology to improve experience in the B2B space. And we have already sort of brought out several pilots. Some pioneering work is taking place in the blockchain space. We have more than 250 large corporations actually on our blockchain protocol. How it helps them is helps them transfer funds across in a more effective manner, cheaper manner, and more reliable manner. It's across the intra-country today. Very shortly, it's going to be cross borders as well. The second area that we are working on is bringing an application, again through a company with whom we have taken equity stake, which creates an application which meshes with the ERP of a large corporation on the one side and their network partners on the other side, a vendor, a buyer, or a seller, and digitizes the entire experience of buying and selling so that everything is automated. Our bank is sort of embedded inside that application. That gives us access to the transaction on a real-time basis as it's happening. So it's not just about moving the transaction, it's about moving the money and using this data to give a real-time, virtual real-time approval for that transaction. So today, what would have taken weeks perhaps to process a loan application to a business customer is possible, subject to certain conditions, of course, that it can happen in 30, 40, 50 minutes. So that is the kind of work that is happening. And finally, as we think of the future, I'll just end by saying that we feel that it's important to mix the customer, people, processes, along with technology and developments in analytics in such a way that you're able to come out with solutions which delights the customer and makes him want to come back to you again and again. We're looking forward to this energizing discussion just after this. Thank you very much for a patient hearing.
it is indeed fitting for us to introduce our guest speaker for this evening. We've been talking about old hands in television, but he is somebody who's really been watching the landscape evolve, whether it is from his early days in the FMCG sector and then helming companies such as Procter & Gamble to then becoming an author himself. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Gurcharan Das.
You do me honor. So, the question that was put to me a little while ago, well, Mr. Das, how do we build a high-performance organization? And I had a one-line answer: recruit for attitude and train the person in skills. Our whole problem is we interview in the wrong way. And all we should be looking for are attitudes. Attitudes are formed at the age of 4 and 5. You can't change them. No matter how many workshops and all that we do, attitude change workshops. So, hire people for attitude. I could tell you lovely stories on that subject. Hire people for attitude and train them in skills. Don't ask them what they know. You are already getting the cream of the IITs and IIMs. Why do you have to ask questions about what they know? They obviously know. And so I would just say that would be my one-liner. Now, the surprise that I have for you is to talk about a subject that really matters to all of us. We either ignore it or are too shy to discuss it. It is about our emotional life. Not only our interpersonal emotional life, the emotional life of our companies, and the emotional life of the nation. So, let me begin. Let's play a thought game. You come out of a doctor's office and you are told that you have only 3 months to live. How will you live those 3 months? So in fact, let's take a little pause. Let me take 30 seconds. Close your eyes and just think for 30 seconds. If you had 3 months to live, what would you do? Purpose of playing this game, and I would encourage you to play it in your organization, in your family, because the purpose is to remind us that we all want to live meaningful and happy lives. And what is a happy life? The answer is surprisingly simple. Love, number 1, love the work you do, and 2, love the person you live with. One-line answer. It's given me great pleasure to be here amongst you.
ICICI Bank and CNBC TV 18 present the India Business Summit.
How is it that each and every one of you this evening can utilize technology to manage your customers more effectively, efficiently, and help you in delivering on your goals? Well, to answer that and many more questions, it's now time to invite our distinguished panel on stage.
Technology has completely changed customer interface. It's changed for all of us, but one, because she is the lady, and 2, because it's banking that has completely been transformed by technology. Let me pose the first question to Vishakha. How was banking 10 years ago, and what has technology done to your customer interface today?
I think the entire retail movement came much later. And naturally, the entire banking was talked as relationship, touch and feel. We used to say that first, before you lend, you should know who your customer is. I think over a period of time, the profile of the customer changed. In addition to the corporates, which were large, and the large business houses, again, that you can touch and feel, we had lots of new entrepreneurs who came in. The second thing it had was that the cost of serving the customer was very, very high, which meant that if you have to go, remote somewhere, it was not possible. So the radius of serving the customer was also limited. Today, you know exactly what the profile of the customer is, whether he has defaulted, not defaulted, what is his entire credit history with.
Do you see that 50% of your customers you never see at all? You only know them through their scores.
Yes, today on the retail side, that is absolutely true.
Does technology really change the way you approach your customer at all?
In our case, many a time, the customer comes to you. So when the customer has a need, today the whole situation has changed to the extent that they don't, when they say we want something, they go onto the net to look for it, okay? And that's where you got to be. And you got to be on top of the search choices. And then you got to have, and then it's the net experience, the website experience, which is very important, okay? Website should be fast. It should be easy to understand. And a complicated website would turn people off. So you've got, and then they want to know more about your products, they can do it from the website. In a sense, they're doing your job for you, in the sense that instead of your person going and teaching them everything and telling them about products, they can themselves get all that information from your site. So the basic approach, the day one contact, has changed completely as a result.
I mean, in your case as well, it's a very huge customer mass. How do you approach them? How do you think of the customer?
There is a customer, there is a consumer, and there is a user for any product or for most of the products. And sometimes they behave differently, or most of the times they behave differently. So it's very important to understand each one of them and to target them to fulfill their desires individually. If we try to come out with one solution for all of them, we'll fail somewhere. I would like to say that a customer is not concerned about who is serving him, whether it is technology or it is a human being. He is concerned about a good service and a good experience. Technology comes here when we get the data, then we analyze it, and through this analysis, we get insights. So the role of technology comes to use these insights, to automate it, and to help us give the consumer a good experience.
When you're dealing with an electricity consumer, I mean, has technology really mattered at all in at least this part of your business? I'm sure it's going to be very different when it comes to your other businesses. But is technology a mediator?
Quite honestly, technology is a service enabler. So today you can actually give electricity connections within 12 hours of an application, and we do. And that is because technology enables you to get the data. 30% of our consumers are now using the mobile apps. So it helps us, it gives them better speed, better access, they can make their payments online, you have real-time meter reading. So a consumer can actually go in on his app and say that my consumer number is XYZ. To this minute, what is my meter reading? So yes, it has made an impact. It has certainly added more credibility in the minds of the consumer. It has given more service to the consumer. And as far as we are concerned, I think it's a means to an end. It's a means to serving the consumer and serving the consumer well.
When we speak of brick and mortar, it doesn't get more brick and mortar than the business you are doing, Mr. Neotia. Is technology a factor at all? Or is this still a business where technology hasn't come and it is touch and feel?
At the soul of every product is the quality of the product. And the technology, unless technology itself is the product, the technology is basically an enabler for easier dissemination of information, for easier redressal of grievances, and for better communication. So at the heart of it, at least I would assume for most of us who are into any traditional business, would be the quality of the product. I think, the fact that people are now expecting speed of response in an almost unrealistic manner is also a reality which we all have to gear ourselves to respond to. It's almost like if you have raised an issue, you need to give him an instant solution to that problem. And all of us are grappling with this problem of how to now become speedier in our response, not just resolution, but speedier resolution.
Absolutely. Technology has become more challenge, has thrown such huge challenges at us that the speed of response is clearly a problem.
ICICI Bank and CNBC TV 18 present the India Business Summit.
Is your whole attitude to the customer changing because technology is an enabler for the customer as well?
Absolutely. So I think you have to respond that much faster. You have to be that much more on your toes. And now the trick is, how do you anticipate what the customer wants? And before he can ask for it, you give it.
To what extent does technology and the customer become a boardroom discussion? Any examples on how it's changing the course of strategizing?
See, in our organization, we are going through practicing a new approach, which is called the Rockefeller habit. So in this, it's imperative and very important to reach a customer for all the top people, at least 2 customers every week. And that report comes to, I would not say the board, but in all weekly meetings and then in monthly meetings. So every person sitting in that meeting has to talk to 2 customers, take their feedback. And now when it comes to technology, technology helps us in tracking that and in monitoring how we have been able to mitigate the issues or how fast we have been able to do that and which one are the pending ones. So these are automatic pop-ups and reminders which comes on, and that is what we are doing.
The age difference between 2 of your customers could be as high as probably 60, 70 years. Your oldest customer could be 70 years older than your youngest customer. So how do you serve these various levels of customers with technology?
The biggest thing is with or without technology. What we need to do is focus on the customer, really believe that he is the king, giving the options that he is comfortable with. I think it never works in the consumer business that you try to push something that you want to push to a customer. It never works. So you need to give him an option which he is comfortable with.
Are you able to specifically design publicity material for different kinds of customers?
Now you are able to give the person a holistic sort of view, a 360-degree view of the development. You're literally able to let him enter the apartment virtually, and he can kind of look around. You can give him tools to furnish his apartment in different ways. And more importantly, and which is interesting that we have recently been being able to do, is you can give him a view of what is outside from his, from a building which is not constructed. Now he is going to be in a particular floor, in a particular apartment. What is he going to look out of the window? And what is the view? Because you can actually shoot that through drones and put that into the computer software. You can even simulate how the sunlight will enter at which particular part of the year, how much of sunlight he can get in his veranda, etc. So I think it has given the customer the ability to experience a product in a much more holistic manner of something that doesn't exist and try to make a more informed purchase decision.
But Mr. Swaroop, yours is a more nuts and bolts business. How does after-sales service change for you because of technology?
You see, the big change is about to come with the Internet of Things. Okay, when we'll be able to connect up all the installations we have all over the globe and be able to monitor as to how they're being used, and they'll be able to send us information of the various attributes and the various parameters, operating parameters, So we can use this information for basically being able to design offerings for the customer in terms of what they actually need.
So your CRM dictates your R&D.
In a sense, but this is information coming in, so we'll be able to collect all this information, and then the analytics would come in terms of analyzing it. But the interesting thing is that it's giving us the ability to monitor an installation anywhere on the globe. Okay, so we may have something installed in South America.
Send a worker to repair.
No, the repair comes later. First, on a real-time basis, 24/7, we'll be able to keep track of what's happening to that equipment, how it's being used.
It's already being done?
We are working on we are doing that homework, and I expect in another 2 to 3 years we'll have it in place.
Okay, now that's really advanced. That's extremely well said. Although it's not at the heart of the consumption dialogue we are having, this is the same takeaway we got both at Pune and at Bangalore, that electricity, when it came, people feared it will take away jobs. It actually created an exponential number of jobs. Vishakha, Aditya, Mr. Goenka, Mr. Neotia, and Mr. Swaroop, thank you very much for what has been an extremely enriching conversation.
Thank you.
ICICI Bank and CNBC TV 18 present the India Business Summit. Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.